All right, so here's Noah. Say hello to Noah, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Noah Bogart is my oldest son. He's 28 years old. He was homeschooled his whole life. He did a couple of classes at the local public high school, but he stopped high school when he was 16 so he could study Klingon and constructed languages. He has been to college a couple of times. You're in your third shot at it. He's studying computer programming, and he loves to play games. He loves them so much, he drives around with all of these games, for those of you who are here,
pretty close,
in the trunk of his car. And you know what he does? I've seen this happen on Facebook. He will post something that says, I'm in Clifton near this coffee shop. Who wants to meet me for a game? And then people actually write things like, hey, I want to play. And then they show up and play. Hey, they want you to say something in Klingon. Can you give us a few Klingon words, or are they gone from your brain forever?
No, I mean, I got some stuff. So,
all right.
You know, like the classic, who's on first?
Do it.
In English is Iv Rach Bachwa Et, which is who is the gunner? And of course it follows up with Nuk Rach Dechwa Et, what is the helmsman? And Jishov Rach Chidwa Et, I don't know, is the navigator.
That is awesome. Yeah. How silly. And don't you have a Klingon tattoo?
I do.
Oh, show it up close. Let's get this up close here.
Okay. Right.
Pull this up so we can really... Oh, I see, because you don't want the whole... Oh, it's hard to see.
It's hard to see.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
It's backwards.
No, it's not backwards for them.
It's not
Read
backwards
it to
for
them.
This is weird.
Go for it.
Okay, it says Bach, Poch, Lao, Yin, Poch, Push, which is honor is more important than life. In Klingon, of course.
Of course. So, yeah. Noah is not a Trekkie, for all of you who are and now think that you've found a kindred spirit. He is into language, and he discovered Klingon because it was one of the Google language options that you could render your screen in. And that became a fascination of his in high school, and he started investigating constructed languages. He studied linguistics the first time he went to college. So, yeah. And so is it shocking that he's interested in computer programming languages? No.
No.
All right, Noah.
All right.
Here we go.
Also, you wanted to start with
Talk about Codenames. Can you tell us all about it?
Okay, so...
Do you like Tolkien? You're not as big a Tolkien fan.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed the movies. I read the books. They were pretty fun. It's, you know, the languages are awesome. His world creation is awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead.
Also, okay, so Codenames is a board game by one of my favorite board game designers, Vlaada Chvátil. It's a word game, like a lot of other word games, but it's a game that focuses on. Here, I feel like I should set it up.
Well, but it's far away, so
I mean,
yeah. Did you show it close enough? Okay, wait. Let's just do this really quick. Take a screenshot if you want to remember this one, okay? Codenames. Screenshots. Ready, set, go, go, go. Oh, I see the cameras. See them? Noah, can you see the cameras going up where the hearts are?
I don't know where I'm looking.
Right here.
Okay.
Look at the hearts going up. Isn't that hilarious? They turn into cameras.
Cool.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So
all
this game came out this year. It's by one of my favorite designers, Vlaada Chvátil. It's very much a party game. It's a it's a game for 4 more players where 2 people are the spy masters, and you are trying to communicate on a grid of random words that are set up whose team the code agents out on the field are for. So, you know, as the blue team, I have a little grid that's got all of the colors on my side, and then the red team has got their colors, and so we're trying to say one-word clues that point to certain words out on the board. This game we played last night, it's a word game, okay? And it's one of those strategy games around words. So you're trying to find puns, or you're trying to find links between the words. Yeah, and so the age range needs to be people who are reading, because you're looking at words. Yeah, can we show them some of the materials in here? So, Noah, I mean, what age range do you think this was intended for? Well, so this game, it says, you know, 14 plus. 14. But I think if you have a precocious reader or a precocious 10 or 12-year-old, they could probably get it, because the words are pretty big. You know, apple. Yeah. Bond. Lilybeth says hi to you. Hello, Lilybeth. So it's not let's see some of the other words. They're not complex words. They're not crazy words. We have bat, we have giant, Rome.
So these are what the game cards look like. Round,
lawyer,
telescope,
kiwi.
But what's happening is they're all laid out on a table, and to give clues, you have to say a single word that helps someone identify one of these words in the grid, one or more. And so you're trying to tie together words with clue words, and that's what's challenging. It's super fun. It's super hard. Super silly things happen. Like last night on the grid, there were 3 words I wanted my team to find. One was American, one was Tokyo, and one was India. So I thought in my head, what word ties those together? I came up with the word Asians, because there are Asians living in all 3 of those places. But the person that was on my team didn't think America went with Asians because there were other choices. There are other things on that grid that maybe could go with that word. But he even said, oh, well, there are Asian Americans. And then he moved on, and I thought, but that's what I was meaning. So it's that kind of game where you are trying to get someone to think the way you're thinking about the way words interrelate. Yeah. And it's not hard. Individual rounds take, 15 to 20 minutes. So it's a fast game. Yeah, it's perfect. Oh, you're welcome. We'll see you later on the replay for the Gamescope. So Codenames, great game for high school and precocious junior high kids.
Yeah.
Show us something for really young kids. Do you have any
really young kids?
I meant to bring up Zurika from downstairs. Why don't you pick a different game and talk, and I'm going to go get that one.
Go get that one.
Yeah.
Go get that one.
So show something for older kids then, like Sushi Go. Do Sushi Go.
I'll do Sushi Go. All right.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to give you. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Why? Okay.
We were going to do this. I'm the worst today. Okay, Noah's on the mic. I'll be right back.
Okay. Welcome to Gaming with Noah Bogart. This is a podcast.
Introduction about why gaming is good. I forgot about that.
All right, so we got all these games here, and so it's like for people who don't know games, you have to the goal is to make you, the viewer, somewhat more informed about games, right? So designer board games, fun strategy games, the kind of explosion, the Cambrian explosion that has happened in the last 15 years is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's like getting into any niche market where it's just there's a million things. But the fun is there are so many different kinds. And so we have a game like Codenames we were just talking about, which is designed and played by strategy gamers, people who 30 years ago might have just played Risk or might have played Monopoly, or playing a game like this because it's fun and interesting even if it's about words. But you also have all of the games that I enjoy playing and that the kind of greater gaming community play are designed around meaningful choice and meaningful choices. And so it's, a game like Candyland is not really a game, it's a random number generator, right? There's no meaningful choice. You flip over the top card and you move to the next available color, and there is literally no choice. There's no ability to impact. Yeah, Small World. I see somebody mention Small World. I don't have that one, but it's fantastic. But so all of these games, the games that I play, are focused around meaningful choices. And so a game like Codenames, there are many meaningful choices because you're constantly having to figure out what kind of word you want to say. A game so I have a game right here called Sushi Go.
This one's really fun and easy too.
So Sushi Go is what they call a card drafting hand management game, tableau building. So tableau is, I think, French, right?
Yeah.
What's it mean? Table?
Yeah, and a portrait kind of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So a tableau is like a little partitioned off section, right? And so for a game like Sushi Go, it's a sort of like Pit. It's more like every turn, everybody at the table has a handful of cards, right, that they're holding inside their hand, and everybody chooses one. You hold it face down in front of you, and then everybody at the same time all around the table, we all reveal what we have and set it in front of us. And so then you end up building a little what they call a tableau, a little pool of cards in front of you. And so they all match up in different ways.
So go real slow and show one at a time.
I'm working on it. Well, so they all match up with each other and make pairs, make sets. And so in making the sets, you score points. So over a series of rounds. So this little guy is the sashimi. And so the sashimi, for 3 of them, you get 10 points, right?
This is the cover, Sushi Go. It's in a little tin case.
It's $15. You can buy it from Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon.
Right.
Cool Stuff Inc., which is the premier place to buy board games.
There you go. Thanks for all the hearts, people.
It's...
All right, show other cute pictures. These are the cutest cards. I love these.
So you have cute little maki rolls. And so whoever has the most
maki rolls...
Look
at that. It's 11 on Amazon right now.
Yeah,
It is 8 and up. You can play this with young kids, for sure.
The fun thing is that all of the pictures are extremely distinct. So this is an egg nigiri, and it says right on the card how much it's worth, 1 point, right? And so you don't even have to know the name. The name could even be covered up, and it's just this cute little guy is worth 1 point.
And yes, they do require strategy. It's not like Go Fish. It actually does require some thinking.
So cute. Oh my god, it killed me.
Yeah.
So you have cute little dumplings who are so happy, and they make certain points. You have the cute little puddings, with their cute little cheeks, and they score points. This is from
GameWrite?
Yeah, it is from GameWrite.
It is GameWrite. You're right. Okay, we can move on then.
Chopsticks and tempura and all sorts of fun little things, right? And so they all contribute, and the strategy comes from which ones you play, and it's not like, Go Fish where there's nothing.
Right.
It's kind of like random which one you're going to pick up. So then other ones, maybe moving
things they can buy.
Things they can buy. So here's a fun smaller game. I'm loving these little games. This is a cooperative game.
Hold it all the way close.
Hold it all the way close. So this is called Hanabi. I don't know who the publisher is, but it's a magnificent little game that is cooperative, where everybody playing is playing together, and everybody's trying to win, and there's no traitor, there's no backstabber, there's no ability for somebody to kind of like sneak in a win for themselves by themselves. It's all or nothing. And
in other words, for those who are unfamiliar with the language, cooperative means that the goal is for the community of players to beat the game, not to beat each other.
Right.
So that's one of the benefits of a game like Hanabi, and there's some other ones that Noah has had us play over the years. It's really a different dynamic. You like to hang out together and think about it and talk. Oh, that's great. Pandemic.
Pandemic on the board. We're working up to it.
Yeah, good.
So a game like this has all these different colored numbers. There's a different quantity of each of them.
Keep going.
Here's some water for you if you need it.
Oh, you brought it. That's what I forgot to bring. Good.
And so this game is very silly because you're not allowed to look at the cards you hold. You only look at the cards that the other people have.
Right.
You have very strict rules about what you can say about the cards. So I'm sitting here and I'm holding these. I don't know that I'm holding, the green 4, the red 4, the red 3, and the yellow 3. I only know that I'm holding these cards, but I can see that Julie over here,
holding.
I can see that she's holding the green 1, the yellow 1, the red 2. And so we have very strict rules about what we can say, and we have to try to tell each other what we have to play them out in a certain sequence. Because we're trying to make a beautiful fireworks display,
Right.
And the beautiful fireworks display only happens if we get the right numbers in the correct sequence on the board.
Yeah.
And so
that's another card game, very easy for traveling too.
Right. Yeah.
So you can throw it in your purse and take it to Panera and play, while you're eating a snack. It's something you could take on a vacation and play at night before your kids go to bed. Like sometimes we forget that you get to a vacation, there are no toys, right? There isn't anything to do. But if we have these games handy, then you have that to play. Hanabi is for 8 and up, did you say?
What does it say? It says 8+.
Yeah, 8 and up. 8 years old and up.
I don't know that I have any
Well, I looked for Zurika and the Lego game, and I think I gave them away. But for those of you who are looking for something, here, I'm gonna. Oh, she left without that. That's a mistake. I'm going to write them down. These are two games that my kids loved when they were young. And you may already know them, so I'm not too worried about it. But both of these were hugely popular with my kids when they were little, like under 8. You could play both of these, okay? So if you're looking for easy games, go ahead and screenshot those and get Zurika and the Lego game. Zurika is adorable. Yeah. All right, Noah, keep going.
All right.
They're sick of me already.
No,
Okay.
it's all good. It's
Yeah,
all good.
pick another.
So the next one that I'm going to do is King of Tokyo.
Yeah, good
King
choice.
of Tokyo is maybe a
Yes,
little bit
Lego
older.
game is a board game. Go ahead.
So King of Tokyo, it says A+. Basically, you only have to be able to read, and then otherwise it's fairly simple. It's a game designed by Richard Garfield. He's one of my favorite game designers. It looks like this. It won a bajillion awards. It's sold in every single box store in the world. And it's a King of the Hill game. That's why they call it King of Tokyo, where you play all of these wacky monsters that are kind of like King Kong or Godzilla or aliens. Let me pull out one of the little cards because it's so very cute. So very cute.
We played this game, all of us, just last week and learned it instantly. This is the one, if you read my comments on Bravescope's group,
Oh, that's so cute.
this is where I tuned out while Noah was giving the instructions, and Liam said to me, "Mom, pay attention." I was busted. I had my phone down here, and I was texting my mother, and I'm I'm paying attention, but I wasn't, and didn't know anything. And I still understood the rules once we started playing, immediately. It was also instructive to me how many times I try to teach things to my kids, and they're down here, I'm listening, and they're really not. And they can still catch on in the middle of what's happening. So there you go. Just a little homeschool advice right in there for you. So the game pieces are great. Go ahead and tell what the game actually is.
Well, so the game is, as I said, King of the Hill, and I saw somebody ask what the age range is, and it's A+, and the number of players is 2 or 3, I think it says 2 to 6. 2 to 6, right? And so it's a game where you have all these fun little dice. It's a push your luck game. It's a kind of like Yahtzee, or kind of like other games with dice. But so you have a bunch of, okay.
Yeah, we can.
So you have a bunch of dice that have a 1, 2, 3 on them, and then a heart, a little claw, and a little lightning bolt,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
And so you roll these a bunch, and you get to re-roll some of them if you wish. You get to choose which ones you re-roll. And then based on the dice that you have, you get to do things such as gain the victory points you're trying to win, or buy some of the powers. And so this is the part where the reading comes into play. So you have cards like this, and they have words on them. So you have to be able to read the name, read how many electricity they cost, power they cost, and then read whatever power it is. And so some of them are pretty simple. They got keep, blah blah blah. But then
Right.
some of them have a lot of words. And so younger kids, new readers, might have trouble with the ones that have a lot of words, or maybe a little bit more complicated. Right?
However, they were laying face up on the table, and I'm old and can't see most of the time, and I had my kids reading them to me and telling me what they did, and that was plenty.
That's
I
true.
didn't have
That's
to
true.
reread it. So if you have young kids who understand the basic game concept, and they have much better brains and eyes than I do, they will remember whatever you read to them. So they can play it, and they'll hold it in their brains and be
Right.
able to use the cards. It's not like the cards are hidden. They're up, face up for the entire game,
Right.
and everybody can see what they are and read them, okay? Oh, you read them to your 5-year-old. Well, I'm telling you what you already know. That's perfect.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and everybody has a little character. So the character piece I was just showing is what's on the board, but these are the ones that sit in front of us. So you just have to be able to see your hearts. So you can probably even play with just the simpler cards and have a blast, because all they have to be able to see is their victory points and their health, and then otherwise, there's no words on there.
Right.
The pictures are good
Pretty
enough.
easy.
Pretty
Awesome.
easy.
All right,
It's
so
not-
that game was a blast.
It's a blast. It's pretty quick. It's available literally everywhere. What's great about some of these games, some of them have extremely obtuse rules. But
Yeah.
so a game like this, it's literally that much.
It's reasonable.
It took me 15 minutes to read, and even though I didn't quite get one or two of the elements as soon as we started playing it, snapped.
It clicks in. And that game reminded me a lot of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, only more extensive. So if you've been roped into playing those with your kids, you'll get this very easily.
Very easily.
All right, what else?
All right, what else? What else?
Maybe?
I don't know.
These games. Cosmic Encounter we've played.
Yeah, Cosmic Encounter. Somebody mentioned Pandemic. We can talk about that.
Oh yeah, go ahead and mention that.
All right, so we'll talk about this real quick.
This is another cooperative game, right?
Yep. So this is kind of the current granddaddy of all cooperative games. So this is sold also everywhere, so you can acquire it. It's a little bit more expensive, but the age range is very easy. It's also like 8+. Anybody who can read can play the game, and the powers are even simpler than King of Tokyo. It's a cooperative game where you are the researchers, scientists, medical experts, and government officials who are trying to help, what is the word, stymie?
Yeah, that's a great word.
Right, stymie the proliferation of a number of dangerous diseases that are going throughout the world. And so you move over a map, and this is one of my favorite parts, is that I now recognize a whole lot of places in the world that I didn't before. Hashtag that at geography.
Yeah.
And so, look at this. This game board is filled with real-world locations. So you have Karachi, you have Delhi, you have Ho Chi Minh City, you have Sydney. Over here you have Lagos, you have Santiago, you have all of the American places, right? San Francisco, Chicago. You have all the European places. Yeah, and so it's a very light but kind of generous geography lesson while you play.
Well, and that's just the thing. Like, I remember growing up, I had a game that was a card game. It was called Poet Rummy, and I learned all the names of poets from that game. Whenever you play Risk or any of these geography games, there is a connection that is formed that you hold on to long after you've played the game. So always be looking for games that give you an opportunity to teach that. We love Ticket to Ride. We've played it a ton. I even told Noah, don't bring it because almost everybody knows it. But it is a great game. Ticket to Ride, and the other one, Settlers of Catan. We brought that, which we can show you. But those are two really well-known games.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is just it's another cooperative game, but it's significantly more difficult than almost all of the other card games that I have.
So it's got these nice wooden, token pieces. Or are they plastic?
I think they're plastic.
They're plastic, excuse me.
Then you got the little...
diseases in the Petri dish?
Right, the disease cubes in these cute little Petri dishes that I got. I got this from an expansion for the game, but these are sold at, Michael's, and I know that my friend never got the expansion, but he still has them.
Okay.
They've got
cards.
They've got, oodles of cards. I got, two packs filled with cards.
Great.
And for the most part, the cards don't have almost any words on them.
Oh, good.
You play with about 6 or 7 cards.
Did you already show these?
No, here, maybe not that one.
Oh, okay. Here's an epidemiologist.
Right.
Here's a medic.
Here's a scientist, right? Nice lady scientist.
I like that it's a lady scientist. Yeah.
Here's a quarantine specialist. She's amazing for the game. And a researcher, a containment specialist.
Awesome.
So lots of...
cool stuff. Age,
it says 8+. If they can read, they can handle it. And if they can't read, they might be able to handle it if you read for them. Because each...
Oh, yeah. And I was going to say that... what didn't you show? Anything? I think he showed you everything.
So I have the expansion that's got the bioterrorist, who's a bad guy, who one person might play against the other folks. But you would both have to buy Pandemic and On the Brink, the expansion, and that's just too much. Yeah, so
as with all of these, you just want to look at the game and make sure that it matches your family's personality, value system. And most games that are cooperative can have kids who don't read because it's cooperative.
Right.
You're not hiding any information. So they don't have to be able to read it and keep something secret, like if you were playing Clue, which seems like a game for young kids, but if you can't read and write, very hard game to play.
Right.
Whereas Pandemic, your little kids are sort of on your team, so they can hang out with you. And then you just decide if that's a good game.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. She wanted to know because you said about the expansion pack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't
okay.
bring that box with me. It's sitting at home. But
Yeah, he didn't bring the
Yeah.
expansion pack. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. From the same designer, about 10 years later, he released this game called Forbidden Desert. And so it's also a cooperative game, and it's designed with the same age group and the same players in mind, right? It says 10 plus on the box, but there's, in fact, less reading in this game. And so this game is, it's the same style where you're all working together, and you're all moving around a grid. This one has got little tiles that shift. It almost reminds me of those puzzle sliding games where you've got like the numbers 1 through 15 and you have to slide them. And so it's got a lot of those things. And it's...
Want to pull it out?
Yeah, sure. Let's pull out some of the pieces.
It's fun to pull out the pieces. We have the visual.
It's fun. Mm-hmm. And so this game, you've crash landed. You're a bunch of folks, archaeologists, crash land in the desert, and you're trying to rebuild a steampunk airship, right? And so then you've got all of these cute little pieces that you're trying to find out on the board.
They're saying you should do a YouTube infomercial and get paid for this.
You've got like a little power crystal. You've got the metal engine block. You've got the sundial, which somehow helps out. I mean, it's
there, so you'll always know which way your diva light is pointing.
You've got a little propeller, right?
Here's a great question for you. How do you play without one person becoming the dictator of moves?
As the adult, you clamp down on that real hard.
And what does that look like, Noah? How would that have worked for you when you were a child?
Well, I probably wouldn't have handled that. I probably would have been the jerk. It was commanding everybody. But I mean, I have played a lot of these games. Oh goodness. No, but so like I've gone through a lot of phases in my gaming, and so at this point I've found my girlfriend Katie likes to criticize my face because she'll start to make a decision and I'll go like this. And then, but it's just like, and then I'm just like sitting there like real, because I don't want to tell her what to do. I'm not looking for it to be Noah plays by himself, right?
Yes.
And
it's called Forbidden Desert.
The name of this game is Forbidden Desert.
Not dessert.
Yeah.
But desert.
It's at Barnes & Noble. I think it's 35.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things to know about that question, someone asked me if you're going to talk about RPGs for kids too, and we'll see if we can. Well, we will. But what I was going to say is one of the things to know is that if you make gaming more a natural part of your life, you will not have as many problems as when you play games once in a blue moon. I'm going to give you an anecdote from my childhood because I think it's instructive. My family did not play board games. It was a rare occasion if we pulled out Life or we pulled out a game. But I loved games. And so I remember asking for Monopoly for my 13th birthday because our old set had been destroyed because we used it so much. So I had this brand new Monopoly board, and I said the one thing I wanted was for our family to sit down and play this game of Monopoly. My brother and my dad ganged up on me, the birthday girl, I might point out, and destroyed me. I mean, I was out of money and properties faster than you could say, Bob's your uncle. And it ruined my birthday, by the way, and made me a lifelong hater of Monopoly also, and capitalism, all in one fell swoop at age 13. Here's what I want to say about it, though. It's because we didn't play very often. I got destroyed routinely in games when I played with my friends, but I knew we were going to play the next day. I'd have another chance tomorrow, right? So there was this feeling of, I lose some, I win some. But when you're with a family, if you only play rarely and you play where the stakes are high, then everyone feels very invested in succeeding because this is their only chance to have a great time. But if you play on a more regular basis, and like we played spoons as a family all the time, so there's the mad dash for the spoons, and we used to always stand on our table and then tap the ceiling with our spoons after every hand. Like there's a good feeling, and you can sort of mitigate some of that drama. Occasionally, the whole thing falls apart, everyone's in tears, and you all go to bed angry.
Right.
That's just part of the gaming life, wouldn't you say, Noah? It shouldn't be.
Going to bed crying. I experienced that.
But I mean, I'm just pointing out that don't overly romanticize these experiences, just like anything in homeschool. It's a work in progress, and everyone's growing and learning and being trained. It's not like you have this all worked out before you start. You're going to play games and develop a family culture around gaming and grow together. All right, Noah, back to you.
No, I mean, I think that's all good. I think that's, you know, it can get very tense. One of my friends, Steve, is, I've known him since high school, so we're going on 10 years of being friends, and he's one of my closest friends, but he gets extremely emotionally invested, and so he can take it very hard when things go poorly.
Did you bring Shadows over Camelot?
I don't know that game.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't...
We played a game with this friend he's talking about. I have never been around a more serious gamer, and my kids are gamers. This guy took every single move so seriously and so much time to think them through, and not satisfied to just get the game going. He's okay with it not moving for a long time. So yeah, somebody said different kinds of games for different personalities. Completely true. All right, let's pick another game.
Let's pick another game. Okay, so we were talking about you know, we've got Settlers.
Yeah, sure,
right? So we've got Settlers, the classic. This one came out in like '95 or something, and it's
a Ravenscraft, right? Is that the name of it?
No, I mean it's made by it's Klaus Tuber. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Okay.
German.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
But it's classic, and it's not my favorite game. It's got a little bit too much randomness for me. You know, one of the things that I was talking about earlier related to
give you a better chair.
Meaningful.
Up too high. Here.
Yeah. One of the things that I was saying about meaningful choices, it's hard in Settlers, like it's hard in some of the other games, or not as hard, I should say, in some of the other games to have meaningful choices because of the random element.
Right.
You know, so a game like Settlers of Catan is predicated on rolling dice literally every turn. And so if the dice, as they might not, you know, in a bell curve, it might just not go your way 3 or 4 turns in a row. And so as you go through, you might just have a game where you're just sitting on nothing and you can't do anything and nobody's trading with you. And so there's a lot of potential for frustration and pain in playing a game like Settlers, because
it doesn't always fall your way.
It doesn't always fall your way, and it really kind of can limit your choices, and I don't like that. You know,
we did love Settlers though for a period. We played it a lot. We have the seafaring one. We have the expansion set. And it was sort of a nice family kind of game for a while for us. While we were sort of getting into these alternative games, not always playing, you know, Life, Candyland, you know, like the typical ones you all know. Someone brought up Carcassonne. Did you bring it?
I do have Carcassonne.
Carcassonne is one of my favorites. I think this is a great game.
Well, so I have...
He has the biggest version of Carcassonne
I have one of what they call
the big box?
Big box. I don't know which way this
There
goes.
You go, you got it. Carcassonne, the big box. But it's really not this big.
Right, so I mean it can come in a very, very small thing, and the new edition just came out, which has got beautiful new artwork. And so this one, of course, has a bunch of the expansions. But so this is a game, you know, where you draw tiles and you lay them down, and you set your little, what they call meeples on them, these cute little dudes on there that earn you points and score things and do work for you.
He's going to show you pieces.
I accidentally flipped this upside down.
Oh,
Now all the pieces are everywhere.
now all the pieces are everywhere. Somebody said the thing about random games is they help equalize skill levels, and that is true. And that is one of the benefits of playing a game like that. Also, too, I'm just really a big fan of hints and helping and making sure that young children feel involved and giving them every advantage. If you have 5 kids or more, or even 4 kids, you're going to have disparity of ages, and you want everyone to feel like they can participate. And our youngest couldn't read until she was almost 10. So we didn't want to leave her out of games, and we played a lot of word games. So there are ways to incorporate them. You just want to make sure that you're always trying to find inclusive measures. All right, go ahead and show what you've got. Carcassonne, here we go.
Where's the base set? Well, so the thing about Carcassonne and about all of these games, I just had a nice little thought as you were talking.
Oh, okay.
No, it's all fine. So Carcassonne, the little pieces look like this, or look like, oh my god, Galaxy Trucker is hilarious.
He likes Galaxy
Trucker is made by Vlaada Chvátil, who did Codenames.
Oh, and do you like Ultimate Werewolf?
I've got a variation on it behind me. We'll show it off in a second. So they look like this, or they look like...
You got to hold it for a long time because otherwise it doesn't... There you go. Keep it there for a second.
Okay, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Good.
Right. Lots of fun pieces. Well, so, you were talking about, and they were asking about, how do you keep it from being one person playing quarterback, right? Kind of like
taking over the strategy.
Taking over the strategy of the game. And for me, I found that if somebody is having trouble or looking to me to help them or make a decision for them, I list out all of the options that I see. And then if they push me, I pick one or two of those. And then if they push me really hard, they are really, really stuck in that kind of what we call analysis paralysis. Then I might be like, well, I think this is your best move. But it's got to be, so if they're like, should I go to Delhi to cure that disease, or should I go to, Constantinople to cure this disease? I'm like, well, if you go there and we flip this over, it might be bad. But if you go there and,
right.
There are many, as the seasoned gamer, I see all of the possibilities, kind of fractally generated every turn. And the folks who don't play as well might not have it.
Right.
And so it's, and I mean, I wasn't like this 5 years ago. I was a jerk who would get angry when people didn't do what I said because obviously I was the smartest.
And what a good thing for you to notice that everyone grows up and becomes a more civilized human being over time.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's also...
And gaming helps with that, too.
Right.
Because you won't have fun people to play with if they are annoyed and sick of you. Annoyed with and sick of you. So, So somebody made the point about Carcassonne. The nice thing about it is the board does change every time because you're creating it with these tiles.
Right.
And so it feels fresh and it moves quickly and it feels really good.
Yeah. Okay, what else? So, I don't want to...
like we were talking about another... Oh, well, here's something... Did you bring RPGs with you? Because someone just brought up Dungeons and Dragons. Are these games easy to get into if you're not a big gamer? Everyone he's mentioned so far, you can totally do. Because I can play them. There are games that I don't want to play. Noah and I have figured out what games I'm willing to play.
Have I?
Uh-huh. Yes, you told me. You're the one who told me. This is how I know that he understands me. He says, Mom, this game isn't hard to learn and it won't take that long to play. Those are my two keys. So I want to know how long I'm committed to sit at the table. Now what's fun is, if it's a game that can be played quickly, I'll want to play it multiple times because I immediately want to get good at it. What I don't like are games that are difficult to learn and are going to last 4 hours and I'll be in mild agony the whole evening, not really understanding what we're doing. Those are not fun for me. Those are more fun for people who are really big into gaming. Okay.
Speaking of which.
Yes.
Twilight Struggle.
Oh, all right. Good. Okay, yeah, for the ultimate gamer. Go ahead.
No, okay.
No, go ahead and just mention it. He showed this last night. It did look pretty awesome, actually. This one kind of interested me. But that's because I'm a Cold War baby. All right, go ahead.
Speaking about games that last forever, are super complicated, and will bore your brains out if you're not 100% committed, this is Twilight Struggle. This is the #1 rated game on the most fantastic, easily recommendable BoardGameGeek.com. So write that down. Let's tell everybody. So Board Game Geek is the premier board game website. The UI is one of the worst on the internet. It is truly awful.
They don't know what UI is, all of them. User interface.
It's the thing that you look at when you look at the website. It looks like crap.
BoardGameGeek.com.
It is nearly useless in its ability to deliver quality information.
Thank you, Jeanette.
But having said that, it is really well moderated.
Okay.
Like people are not swearing, they're not getting into crazy fights, they're not posting hateful things. The community is extremely generous. Every single board game you can think of, it is super inclusive and not exclusive at all. And so it is a really positive, wonderful community, unlike some of the other communities I'm involved in.
They want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and RPGs in general.
Well, I forgot a bunch of the ones that I wanted to show off at home.
Well, that's okay. Why don't I interview you, because I know what the questions are, and we can just talk about RPGs.
Okay.
So, Liam loves all these games, too. And Katrin's a pretty good gamer now, too. She loves games.
She's a badass.
Oh, you're so welcome for this. I know this is totally fun for us. We love doing this. This is so fun. So RPG stands for role-playing games. And a role-playing game is like acting out a collective story with elements of chance to tell the complete story. I did not understand that's what they were. I really didn't. I'd heard the words and I associated Satan and goat head soup with all of those games. Oh, look it. Here comes another gamer right now.
Look at it.
We're on Periscope. That's Liam and his girlfriend. Okay, so here's what I discovered. They take all different forms, okay? These are not just scary, sort of dark, goblin-filled environments, though many of them are. But but many of them, there are all kinds that have other environments. So, for instance, my mom, Karen O'Connor, BraveWriter teacher, and a famous, wonderful grandmother, mother person. She was here last summer, wasn't it in the summer?
Yeah.
And we played a role-playing game with her that was about the Cold War and Russian spies.
About World War II.
World War II.
And it was.
And
Let's start this summer.
Okay, tell it.
It's about.
Sorry, what was it called?
It's called Night Witches.
Night Witches. Go ahead.
It's about the women of the 188th is a group of Russian biplane flyers during and towards the end of World War II. That was all female regiment, and so they would fly nightly bombing runs over the
Germans.
The Germans, right? And so they would leave at night, and they would fly these bombing runs, and they would drop bombs, but they would also drop train track metal pieces. They would drop pretty much anything. They would drop broken cars sometimes, just because that's all they had. And they would their planes were the worst of the entire army,
entire fleet, right? Because they're women. Who cares?
Right. And so they would actually turn off their engines and coast by, and so they got the name the Nachtenhexen, or whatever it is in German,
which means night witches.
Night witches. Because they would fly in with their engines off, and so all you would hear was them whizzing by the sound, and they thought it sounded like witches in the night. And so this is an RPG by one of my favorite, Jason Morningstar, one of my favorite RPG authors, run off of a system by one of my other favorites. That's really focused. I wish I had the books with me. I left those and the other associated books at home. Like a fool.
It's okay. We can always bring them on another one. But basically, the idea then is you're building a community story. Each person in the group has a role, and of course, we use dice to make decisions about the direction the story will take. Sort of like those books that have no end, and you get to pick what page to go to complete the story, and they send you around. That's a little bit, for those of you who've never done them, that's a little bit what it's like. And so you're also called on a little bit to act. And the shock of my life was my mom, rolling the die, and she's this character, and all of a sudden she's got this like perfect Russian accent as some lady bomber. It was unbelievably fun and funny. And we suddenly discovered, choose your own adventure books, right? We suddenly discovered, for me, for the first time, the appeal of these role-playing games. It's like starring in your own movie as a group. It's really fun. So are there ones that are appropriate for young children? And before we even answer that, answer the pressing question. Dungeons and Dragons. It's been in controversy since I was in high school, so it's an old game. Why is it popular? What is good about it? Is there something parents should worry about? Do it. And just caveat, personal opinions. You can totally ditch them if they don't make sense to you. Go ahead.
I mean, you get what you put in. If there are better avenues for Satanism if you're looking for Satanism. Like, let's be real.
I did not expect you to say that, but okay.
No, I mean, like if you're if you're looking to hang out with a bunch of friggin' nerds, then D&D is right for you. It's the thing about Dungeons and Dragons, and really all of them, is that there are 4 people who are passionate about worlds and world building, and about the kind of Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings style adventure stories, adventure stories. And so while there are folks, a lot of the folks that I like I've got this game, and I don't even know if I should show this. So this is Dogs in the Vineyard. This is made by Vincent Baker. He is one of my favorite authors. He is RPG designers. He's just magical. He's so smart. But so this game is maybe not like Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is very focused on kind of the happy-go-lucky kind of adventuring that you find in Fellowship of the Ring. A bunch of people who happenstance meet up.
Cool.
A joke in the community is that for all of the work one might put into building a cool character, the game is going to start with the game master being like, okay, so you all meet in a tavern, and this guy says, I've got a quest for you, right? That's the typical start to
any of their stories.
To any of the stories,
okay.
right?
Awesome.
And so it's like, and so then, you're like, well, I'm the dwarf. And so the dwarf's like, well, another flagon of mead. And then everybody's arguing, and then somebody's like, we really have to, go out to, into the mountains to find the ancient ring of, whatever, right?
Okay.
And so then, for the most part, a game like Dungeons and Dragons is going to be that. It's going to be a bunch of people getting together and kind of collaboratively telling a story where one person plays the world and then everybody else plays their individual characters.
Okay.
And so
and they're going on an adventure.
And so they're going on an adventure, right? And so usually, if you've played a game like the Skyrim games or Oblivion for the Xbox or whatever, or if your kids have played, I don't know what's available, Fallout, right?
I don't know.
Fallout or even Minecraft to a bit, right? So where you've got a bunch of people kind of playing their one part, and then somebody else is playing the rest of it. And so they say, okay, you walk out onto a field, and there are a bunch of goblins standing right there, and they don't notice you. There's a lot of tall grass. What are you folks going to do? And so then the dwarf says, well, I'm short enough. Am I shorter than the grass? And the game says, yeah, you're short enough. He's like, all right, well, so I'm going to sneak in. And he's like, well, you're going to have to roll your sneak ability because, you can't just be sneaky. You have to, actually make sure that you're sneaky. Right?
Yes,
also,
they do have a narrator.
It's kind of like a narrator. It's a person who...
aren't they the game master?
Right. They're the ones who kind of provide a lattice work, a framework for the players to play in.
Right.
And so they are...
And just without getting too detailed, because you've got 100 of these, but the basic construct is each person has an opportunity to participate in the creation of this story, and their skill set, the choices they make, are either enhanced by a high die roll or they're diminished by a low die roll. You're actually modifying. There's an element of chance to the way that your performance succeeds or fails in the creation of this story.
It really is. I mean...
Oh, it's great for storytelling. In fact, one of the cool things about this when you get into it, Noah, who will tell you that he didn't like, oh, you're welcome, didn't like writing, wanted to write his own RPG. Didn't you? More than anything, this idea, right? Because you start to imagine that world and you want to create your own. You start imagining scenarios and the guys who walk in and what could happen to them. And there are RPGs that are written, like we saw, for historical context, and then there are ones that are written for fantasy. It's not all fantasy.
I mean, there are all sorts of stuff. So
I'm trying.
They're mostly fantasy. Let's be real. They're pretty much all fantasy.
Pretty much all fantasy. And I'm also sort of working on him to help me create materials to help kids write RPGs, because I think that would be such a fun writing project, don't you? A writing course. Put pressure now on Noah, who hates pressure.
No, I don't feel that writing the RPG is the goal. I feel that playing an RPG is the goal.
So maybe that's what we need to do, is learn how to play it better.
All right. So I mean, it's like you have a game like this one right here. It's called Fate. It is a little bit thick. It almost looks like the Bible, right? It's got a bajillion pages, hundreds of words, infinite rules, right? So that kind of game is designed to be used for a generic any sort of thing. So you could apply it to a fantasy game. You could apply it to a modern game. You could apply it to kids going to high school and just arguing, right? And so you could play that. A game like Dungeons and Dragons is very focused on the style of game that it is, right? The very, very specific kind of, even like Star Wars. Like Star Wars, they have a bunch of RPGs for Star Wars.
Sure.
But you can imagine like Han Solo as somebody who continuously fails rolls, right?
Yeah.
So like every chance he gets, he's failing a roll and getting himself into a further scrape. He tries to wow Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope by like, I've got the Kessel Run and whatever. And Obi-Wan's like, I don't care, right? So he failed the roll. And then he's like, are you going to the Greedo? And he's like, I can get out of this. And it's just,
Okay, do these games label themselves as RPGs? Like, where would you find these games? Are they mostly just sold online?
So Barnes & Noble has a pretty good mix.
Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble.
And you might want to do something like go to Barnes & Noble and find that section and then just sit in a chair and read them.
Not at Target, yes at Amazon.
Yeah, both of those are true. Amazon, yes. But one of the benefits of going into a store and holding the book is to just start reading it and get a feel for what the qualities are of the main characters and what kinds of interactions are going to be a part of this world. Right. Those might be the things that are of most interest to you. Right. You want to make sure that you're happy with them. In other words,
right. So
caveat.
Yeah. Lots of caveats.
Right.
So you have a game like Mouse Guard, role-playing game. It's fantastic, but it is extremely complex. It's extremely dense, and I would suggest looking through it before purchasing it for your children because it's not one that's going to be played with anybody under the age of 14, right?
Okay.
On the other hand, this says 12 plus, but it has a bit of writing to it. But this is a game called Do, Pilgrims of the Flying Temple, and it's a cooperative storytelling writing game where you actually, in the playing of it, not only do you narrate what you're doing, but then each turn, whoever's turn it is, when they do something, write a single sentence on a sheet of paper. And so then at the end, you have a piece of paper that has your little story with each person's contribution written down.
Yeah.
And so that's like, and it's really focused on helping people. It's a game where you play a bunch of what they call monks on this flying temple, and if you imagine that floating in the infinite void of like a sky are all of these little rocks, these little worlds.
Just to give you a sense of what these pages look like,
oh my God, this game is designed
there's
so well.
Information, there's tokens, there's illustrations, there's notes.
Yep.
They're beautiful. I mean, these books are exceptional. RPG books aren't cheap. They're usually gorgeous because they're all about the artwork and the creation of these worlds.
Right.
And if you and your kids got into it, you might even have fun creating your own or making up a mock version or building off of them.
Right.
Oh, here's one. Once Upon a Time is an RPG game is fun and safe. Have you heard of that one?
I don't know.
Thank you for sharing that. And Noah, of course, got into them more. Let's see. Would a teen need to be invested in reading the books?
Yeah. I mean, so these games work best when one person, even more than a board game, one person invests a chunk of time up front to learn the game, to learn the system, to kind of think of some things that would be fun for everybody to do. And then when everybody sits down at the table, kind of helps guide the process towards building that fun.
Right.
So for some people, that means writing a whole story and then having the players kind of walk through the story. For others, closer to me, it involves building a kind of a playground, setting up a bunch of things that can be interacted with, and then taking a step back and saying, this is how it works when you interact with it, but not being like, you should go there, and then you should go here, and then you should wander around.
Now, we've already gone over a long period here, over an hour. I'm just going to show you a couple of old standards in case you've forgotten them. We enjoyed playing Cranium quite a bit when our kids were younger because it uses 4 different aspects of thinking. And those aspects are performance, drawing, words, and trivia. And so those are like 4 different ways to win, which is nice if you have a variety of styles of children. We also Oh, this is Jacob's game. This one. Yeah, I don't know diplomacy. That's Jacob's game. I've shared this game a lot. I don't even know if it's still around. It's called Spinergy. Has anyone heard of Spinergy except through me? This is a total word story building game. And this one, since we're on BraveWriter, I'm going to show you, is pretty awesome. Basically, you have a spinner that looks like this. And these wheels have words on them. Can you see that? And the words go 3 out. So you spin the wheels and you line up with that purple arrow, the 3 words, and then you draw cards. And here are like various cards. They look like this. And the scenario will say something like tattoo, describe your hidden tattoo. And you have to write down using those 3 words. So if the 3 words were something like police, combustion, and sugar, I have to describe a tattoo that includes those 3 words. And there's a timer, and we used to lengthen the time because we had children and it was easier. This can work for 2 people, easily for 2 people. Another one is like looking for love. It's been 2 years since you've had a date, blah, blah, blah. Another one, Secret Santa. Describe the unusual gift you received from your Secret Santa last year. Things like that. So you get to use these cards as writing prompts. You are given 3 words to include in that writing. And then once you've written them, you read them aloud and everybody laughs. I mean, that's basically the game. Yeah. And then you score points based on successfully including those 3 words. They're very, very, very fun. Yeah, Apples to Apples is fabulous too. But I thought I'd mention this one specifically because we used it a lot for writing when the kids were kind of all at home and we were working on writing. And sometimes the writing is really inspired and sometimes it's just really silly and, wordplay, right? Getting your kids to play with words. Catchphrase, another great game for that kind of thing. Categories, exactly. Any concluding thoughts about the value of gaming before we go?
I mean, you just leave this running and I'll talk for the next hour about gaming. I mean, for me, it's...
Oh, they asked top 5 games you currently play. Do you have a top 5 that you can whip out, or are you too much of a gamer?
Okay, yeah.
Hugger Mugger. I don't know that game. Do you know it?
No.
Hugger Mugger? Okay.
Okay, so...
All right, so his top 5.
Top 5 games.
Ready,
right.
Set, I'm counting them down.
Pandemic.
Pandemic. There's number 1, Pandemic.
Right now, I'm really into Eminent Domain.
Number 2.
Eminent Domain.
2.
It's fantastic.
Eminent Domain. Here's the words.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It's very easy to play.
Okay.
Cosmic Encounter.
Oh, this is a great game.
This game
is really fun.
helped inspire Dungeons and Dragons, and so this is on its 4th or 5th edition. It's
They have an Instagram account. When we played it, they started following me because I posted a photo.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
They're really into it. It's a great community.
It's great. If you've ever played the game War with cards, where you flip over 2 cards and compare their numbers, this is the adult, kind of very silly, fun version of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. So far, Pandemic, Eminent Domain, Cosmic Encounters.
Oh, God.
Not Codenames, huh?
And it's good, but I don't know if it's one of my favorites right now. This one.
Okay. He's up. Yeah.
So,
and then he's all about this one.
Twilight Struggle. It's 2 players. One person plays as Russia during the Cold War, and one plays as the U.S. during the Cold War. It is a classic
strategy game.
Strategy war game where
like
you have
Risk.
little chits. Yeah, it's like Risk, except
more complicated.
Good. Except good. Let's be real. And then Power Grid.
And you like Power Grid? Is that like Pandemic a little bit?
No. So, okay, so this one is it says what's the age range on it? Does it say?
Yeah, 13.
It says 13 plus.
Yeah. This is number 5.
Okay. Yep.
5.
This